Perfect, perfect, perfect. We're good for action. Okay. Now, it's been a hot minute since you've seen Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. And the reason why we've taken it a bit longer to bring it back out is, and you can't quite see it here, it's very subtle, but I've added on a whole lot of thickening gels. So kind of like resins, they're acrylic polymers, but what they've done is they've gone on the surface here and allowed the texture on the surface to become flat again. The flatness allows me to add on new little moments, new little bits of detail. Usually when I say start wild, you'll usually hear me talk about how I'm trying to make sure there's no texture in order to make sure we can make new strokes in the later layers that'll still make sense to the overall picture. Now, by adding this clear resin onto the surface, I probably got a bit expressive with the texture I use, so we keep that texture and now we can come in with more detail, and that's where we're at now. So this is going to be quite fun. I've got our image up, I've got our picture out, and I'm excited, especially around these areas, to just put in a bit more work and see where we can take it. If you're new here, welcome on in. For the regulars, Nina, hello, how we doing? I kind of feel like I want a bit of a stool, but anyway, we'll work without it for now and see how we get on. All about, right? I'm in love with this painting too. We're in the same boat. I really, really like this painting. Now, I want to say too, guys, I'm streaming at the moment on an iPad. So if it crops funny for you, I can't guarantee it is. Hopefully, if you're seeing what I see, the side of the screen's here, and the side of the screen goes to the edge of the work. Is that your experience as well? Or is it going funny on the old... Oh, that's good. These are... I got sold into them. They're electrolytes for a bit of a kick. It's a slightly different style. It is. It's quite... Imagine Monet, but with an abundance of colour and paint. It's much more blotchy, if that makes sense. Monet was more wispy in his style, but I like thick, chunky blotches. You could almost say, I mean, it's not because it's done in 2024, but it's kind of Van Gogh's brushstrokes with Monet's colour palette is a good way of looking at it as a framing point of view. Hey, thanks Zoe, I appreciate that. Painting looks gorgeous. I really like it. I felt like it was missing a little something though. I sat on it for 3 days and now, like I said, I've added on those non-doming resins to flatten out the surface to then play around with it again. And we'll see where we can take it. So I'm personally very excited. I love the greens. I love the sort of paley greens, especially through here. I love the layering. When you're up close, it's all just wild and chaotic, but from the distance, from your point of view where you're sitting, you can kind of see this landscape changing from distance to closer. So let's just keep playing with that. I think honestly, I think we're in a great space and we just need to keep going with the same energy at this piece of work and see where it can take us. And Jota, welcome on in. Okay, I've got a whole palette here. Here's one I prepared earlier. So we got all the paints, and then we have the transparency gloss gel mixed together and put all around it. That'll make the paint slightly transparent. We can run those over the surface and see where we want to take this work to get to the next stage. I brought out 2 things with me actually. I brought out the last third of my coffee, and the I'm just going to put this up here obnoxiously over the front of the mountain. The last third of my coffee and a full glass of electrolytes. Not electrolytes, sorry. My Shelby's father's brother actually gave me a very good pitch as to why I should be taking beta-alanine. So I got some. So here we are with a little blue punnet of beta-alanine. And I'm going to just see how it makes me feel. And with a bit of luck, he'll put me onto something quite magical. We'll see. We will see. Let's grab a bit more of this. That's wonderful. It's going to keep on. You know what this painting reminds me of? When I say reminds me of, it's nothing like it, but small little pockets of it seem very similar. Do you guys remember, let's turn that back up that way. I got the mic working, how wild's that? Do you guys remember 700 Springs Ranch? 700 Springs Ranch had a very, very similar colour palette in some little pockets. It went into a slightly deeper green and into more yellows and oranges. Here we're actually dabbling more into the reds, the pinks, and then a lot more blues. So it has this kind of deeper, I wanted those blues in there for that deep feeling, for that keystone state, when you say, this is the keystone. You know, blue gave that depth and kind of anchoring point. Yeah, just like that. And we're just going to keep adding in these little spots. At this point in the painting, guys, like we've gone on it previously, I was leaping around all over the show, splattering colours everywhere. But now it just needs almost a therapeutic, much more quiet, calculated way of adding the paint. Because with a landscape like this, and I'll bring it close to you so you can see it, there's so many textures that are going on in this picture. Look at that. So actually, it's not like a face with this giant, you know, strong contrasting shadows. There's a whole bunch of little pockets, but if you go closer and closer and closer, they're not just, you can't capture that by just dabbing around a brush. You need to actually notice each little shape and contour and then subsequently add it. And it's the culmination of all those little pockets coming together that'll build this picture. And so every time I see a little spot now, just up in here, so if I look up here, I see like a little sideways L, but chunkier at one end. So I'm going to sneak it in here, just like that, and get it added in there. And I do that over and over and over again. And the hope here is by the culmination of just thousands of well-intentioned little actions of trying to capture small little pockets that we see, they'll all come together and in unison create a picture. The term for it actually came from a comment section on Instagram. The term for it's pareidolia, when an image emerges from nebulous subject matter, which is to say that there's confusing or disjointed or seemingly random or elusive subject matter, and yet when we look at it, we see a face, we see a landscape, we see subject, we see matter. And so that's the goal here, that we actually, up close, we want to see the chaos, we want to see confusion, we want to see disjointed paint cascading everywhere. But when we stand back, now the picture wants to come out of it. That's the end game here. There we go. So this is the turquoise. And it's a very, very bizarre combination here, because what I've done is I've combined the turquoise with a gloss medium gel and a transparency gel. And the actual result here, because it's a acrylic gouache combined with transparent gels and a transparency, it's trying to be opaque, but it's also trying to be glossy. It's also trying to be matte. It's trying to be opaque, but it's also trying to be glossy. That's correct, yeah. It's trying to be matte, but it's trying to be glossy. It's trying to be transparent. It's trying to be opaque, but it's trying to be transparent. It's trying to be matte, but it's also trying to be glossy. It's caught in this weird position where it's trying to be everything at once, and it lands somewhere in the middle unless it's not mixed properly. Every time it's not mixed properly, what happens instead? This is the best part. Every time it's not mixed properly, it falls to one of those sides, extra matte, extra glossy, extra opaque, or extra transparent. And so rather than mixing up in advance, we get to keep deciding with every brush stroke via the mix that we make whether we want something that's more transparent less transparent, whatever we might think is the right move for this particular moment. Lord Sumi, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And this is the moment too where there's a temptation to just throw giant strokes over the work. But actually, an element of delicacy at this point is what's going to make the whole picture actually come together and be really, really meaningful. And sometimes we need to sit for the longest period in this moment, for the longest period, which is the hardest thing because the temptation, like I say, is to charge ahead. You've been so expressive in the early layers, so wild, so chaotic. And a part of you just wants to carry that energy into the next stage, but actually, and I believe this is why a lot of paintings never actually get finished, actually, this is where we need to stop, slow down, and gently add paint. This is like, in a creative term, think about it like, you know, when you hold a plank or a bridge, and you have to sit there with it for minutes, seconds, or however long you can do a bridge for, and you're waiting. And it's that bracing. Creatively, this is a similar thing. We're bracing in a zone where we need to gently add paint everywhere. And if we manage to brace for long enough, it'll make the end result all the more fruitful. It's an essential part of that process. There we go. Beautiful. This is actually a stage where if I wanted to, you could grab a chair and have a sit down. There'd be nothing wrong with that. This is the kind of sit down stage, but we're not going to do that. We'll stay standing. Hello, volleyball pass. You know, going back to my high school days, I tried to join a volleyball team when I was in 4th form. There was a volleyball team and my best friend was doing it and he wanted me to come along with him. And there were so many people applying to play volleyball and everyone who wanted to be on our team, there was going to be 6 of us, 8 of us, which would mean that very few of us could be on the actual volleyball court playing. And I remember it so vividly because one of the other guys decided that he didn't want me in the team so he'd get more play time. So he gave me a very, very hard time to try and get me off the team. And it worked. I decided I didn't want to play volleyball. But there's a lesson there because actually at the time, I thought he was against me. But as time went by, he actually learned it had nothing to do with me. He just wanted to play volleyball more, which is actually a stance that I can get on board with. But at the time, I took personal offence. And so, personal offence, I was just a little 14-year-old who was scared. But at the end of the day, if you want to avoid that, the lesson I can take from it is to realise, maybe next time I feel that way, try and feel what someone's intentions are. What's the result they're after, and then reverse engineer it. If you can figure out what someone's actual intentions are, it'll stop you from insecurely thinking that you're the issue, you're the problem. Because most of the time you're not. There we go. It's a beautiful, beautiful colour. Doing some great stuff. Hey Mike, welcome on in. Luke, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you all being here, guys. Now the sun is out and it's so intense today that I thought, no. We're not going to paint outside. That's just too much. So we decided we're going to be under shelter today. Beautiful bit of shelter, beautiful bit of shade. And just go nice and slowly outside the heat of the sun. We might go out later on when the sun's dipped down a little bit and play around some more in a more mild state of conditions. But for now, we can just hang out here. Is it summer in Kiwiland? It is not summer in Kiwiland right now. Wait, it is. I know what I'm talking about. It is summer in Kiwiland, and the heat's just going nuts, guys. I can't do it. I'm more of a cold day kind of guy. I like it to be chilly, and in that chillier weather, I can actually, just enjoy myself a bit more, relax. go. Beautiful. Hey, question as well, guys. Well, we've got a few people here hanging out in this space. How's our Wi-Fi signal? Not a Wi-Fi signal. How's our reception of the sound? Is the sound better? Because I'm speaking quieter, but I'd hate to think that the sound wasn't better and wasn't working as well. So tell me, I need your opinions. How is the sound? I'll trade you for this UK weather. You know what? I don't mean to upset people, because this is the kind of comment that upsets people, but I would take that trade. But can I do it anonymously? Because that way the other Kiwis won't know that I took the trade. Because the other Kiwis knew that I took the trade. Who said that? Mike, you absolute legend. Thank you very much. And Kiki, appreciate it. Good to see you here, by the way. How long does it take you to paint a piece like this? Look, every piece goes on its own little unique journey. And this one, I was thinking about 12 hours across sort of 8 sessions. I was thinking about 12 hours across 8 separate sessions, so I could dry in between. But as I've lingered on with this piece, we're pushing into sort of 15 to 20 hours, and that's okay. This usually happens with works that have a lot of textured detail in them, because it just takes longer to actually catch them and for us to see the image emerge. We can see it, guys. The overall image is here. That part's done. But when you get close, can you see the trees, the slopes? I want more. I want more. I'm being greedy, and I want more from it. So we just dabble with it and just keep adding little pockets. But we try not to do too much. If we do too much in a single hit, when we actually come back and look at it, we could overwork it. So we just keep doing little bits at a time and seeing if we can't get the work to actually get just on the right point. Sometimes you'll be working on it and you'll stand back and say, we made it, that's perfect. That's where we were going. And other times, you'll keep standing back and thinking, more, more, more. And you never know whereabouts you're going to sit on any particular day. In this case here, more is the answer. So we'll keep playing. Sneak around the edge of the canvas here. I also have the most gorgeous frame prepared for this one. The most gorgeous frame. It's a floater, and the house it was going in, I would normally tend towards a stark white frame for this piece, but after seeing the house is a slightly off-white, kind of more of an ivory tone throughout the paint. And if you put stark white on that, it's just too much in combination with the intensity of this paint. So what I've done is, instead of doing that, I've got this beautiful, beautiful matte black frame, which is going to be so elegant on the wall. It's going to let the paint speak rather than the frame needing to do anything. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful frame. We'll build that around the work once it's finished. Sometimes, and it's kind of naughty, but sometimes I like to actually paint the work with the frame on it. If you paint with the frame on it, the reason why that feels good is the artwork at any point when you stand back from it, it can look like a finished result. And that's got a lure, you know, because then you're not actually trying to envision what the end point is going to look like. You could suddenly arrive at it. And that sudden arriving at the climactic finishing result of a painting, it is romantic. It's that moment of standing back and examining something that you've made as an individual, and did it get to the place where you wanted it to be? There we go. But more oftentimes, we work on it without the frame on the work. Build it up gently. And then once we feel like it's ready, we use our vision to think, yes, now's the time to take it to the next level from there. Absolutely gorgeous. Pardon me. There we go. It's exactly where I want little bits of paint. Coming on down through there. And we might sneak a bit through there. That's where I want it. Need a bit more. Beautiful. It's like a steely blue. It's exactly the colour I want. Steely blue, baby. All through here. These trees need that time to actually pop out. But one thing I do as well, I should get them. I've got a pair of glasses now that we can actually hone on the painting and see closer. So you can see the painting through my eyes. And I should technically wear them, but I've put them down somewhere, so we won't worry about them for now. What do you do with your art once it's complete? Well, complete. I don't mean to be cryptic here, but sometimes that can be an interesting question. If it hasn't reached completion, it'll stay in my storage, essentially a garage, and I'll hold it until I feel like we can add some more to it, take it to the next level, change it a little bit. But if it is actually complete and I'm happy with it, there's a couple of places it can end up. Now, if it's an original, I might let a couple of people know that there's an original available. If it's a, excuse me, if it's a commission, like this one, it'll get a box made for it so it can travel overseas securely. In this case, to Pennsylvania, to a place very nearby here. And speaking of which, I've been talking with Jeffrey, who's going to be the owner of this painting indefinitely. We're renaming it. I shouldn't say renaming it. We're settling on a name for it. And it's not the Keystone State. So we're going to get more personal with that name. But I'll hold fire on that one to let you guys know it. I will tell you, but I just want to let you know that the name is changing, which I love. Because I said to Jeffrey, look, if you want to, we can call it the Keystone State. But if you want to get more personal, more connected to this place for you personally, what would you like to call it? And we're going to localize the name, which I am more than 100% for. I love that. I think the other one that could have actually done really well with a localized name was the Big Apple, because New York is so many things to so many people in so many different places that maybe calling it 5th and 7th, you know, or wherever the street was in New York, may have been a little bit more appropriate, but that's just my little take on it. And the only person to blame on that's me. Let's make that very clear. I'm the one to blame, but I definitely got the feeling that a personalised name, especially in those big populated states, makes a big difference. Here we go. Let me stand back a little bit and have a look-see at that. And you'll have to excuse my sniffling, guys. I don't like to sniffle to you guys, but the hay fever is coming out. So we'll go for a little bit longer, and if it gets too bad, which can happen if it gets too bad, I'll pause the stream for 5 minutes and we'll grab a few hay fever tablets and mellow that out. How's that sound? Oh, that's a great question, Jazz Hunter. Is that Joe? No. Jazz Mittens, even better. Hello, Jazz Mittens, welcome in. This is a mixture. So it's predominantly been gouache paint, predominantly been acrylic paint, but I'm not gonna lie to you, a few little bits of gouache have been added in, and these little bits of gouache, they are going to 2, these little bits of gouache are going to cause more of a matte effect on the surface, so it will chop and change. And that's what I want. If you just have a simple one surface texture, whether it be satin, matte or gloss, what will happen is the painter can only view in one way, but when you mix the three together, or mix your gouache with acrylics, so your glosses with your mattes, it makes this much more compelling portrait that on different angles it views in different ways. And since different colours had a different satin gloss or matte in it, this gets really interesting because now certain colours will pop at certain times of the day. That will happen anyway, but if you exacerbate it, now you've got something really, really fun. That's my feelings on it. And Kloiber, you voted for me every single day. Thanks, Kloiber. I really appreciate that. We didn't come away with the win, which is gutting, but look, a couple of things. First off, a few of you, yourself, Steve, a few of the other people who really went the extra mile to make sure votes came in. Love you to bits, guys. Thank you so much for trying to make that a reality. And yeah, look, like I said, how crazy is it just to be nominated and to be a part of that? It was mind-boggling and really special. Actually, hold on. Whew. It's a little sweet for my liking, but I'm glad it's here. Delicious. I was going to say something, and then I lost my trail of thought. Never mind. Never mind. Here we are. It was going to be something about the TikTok awards, I think. There we go. Gorgeous. Splash that around through there. Absolutely gorgeous. Every time I use this colour of blue on mountains, I always, in the back of my mind, think Smoky Mountains. And whereabouts are they? In the... Someone help me out. Where are the Smoky Mountains located? Smoky Mountain National Park. One of the most amazing places. And when I went there, I tell no lie, the actual scenery was exactly like the Macintosh iOS wallpaper. And I was just blown away. I wasn't ready. Tennessee, yeah. Should have known that. Chris Shackleton song. Smooth as Tennessee whiskey. She must be one great lady to be as sweet as strawberry wine, smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Wouldn't you be so complimented if you were that girl or guy? I don't know who Chris is singing to. He's got a couple of really, really good songs, ones that really hit you right. I like Fire Away and Parachute. Those are my two favourites. They really do it for me. There we go. Beautiful. Let's thrash a bit more down in there. And now we need to dabble. Just with a few little pockets down these strokes. Down in here. Beautiful. Sneaking down to here. Lovely. And then up in here. Little pockets of paint. This area here is particularly wild. There we go. That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. I keep saying it's enough blue, let's tone it back. And then I come on back and I just say more. More, more, more. I've got sky blue, turquoise blue, cyan and ultramarine, and I just keep seeing little pockets where I think, I want some more blue there. I want some more blue there. I know we'll get to a point where we think, okay, you've got it now, that's enough blue, but we haven't found that point yet. We've just kept adding in more, which is a joy. Adding blue is just an absolute pleasure. I'm going to dive into a bit of, this is ultramarine blue now, so it's going to be a bit more of a punch. And arguably, one of the neighbours, the closest neighbours to black. Black's been used in quite a bit of abundance in this work. So, especially through these parts and across this line here, black's obviously sitting in there. So if we can sneak in with a bunch of ultramarine blue, well, that's pretty fresh, because then we can actually allow those blacks to, for lack of a better term, relax, chill out, find a bit of peace and a bit of colour. Blacks define things, they're strong. And sometimes that strength of defining is just too strong, it's just too powerful. And you need colour to come back in there and take away from the definition and instead express. There we go. Gorgeous. Let's slap a bit through there. There we go. I want to add more on that mountain top, but I love where the image is sitting for everything else at the moment, so we'll just continue to do what we're doing for a little bit longer. Very fun. Let's check. There we go, that comes to there. Let's bring that up there. There we go. Absolutely delightful. Just across that line there. Nice. And then, yeah, there's a couple of separate little pine trees, one after the next, coming up to where that little sideways L was that we added on. It's actually a line of pine trees, but the way the light hits them, you do get a sideways L, which is kind of fun. Here we go. Splash this around. Michelle, nice painting. Have a beautiful day. Thank you very much. And excuse my ignorance, what does paint me like one of your French, being a French model for you to paint mean? You're close. It's paint me like one of your French girls. Paint me like one of your French girls is a line from Titanic. And I'm not sure it's the exact line, but basically it's funny because Jack, the guy in Titanic who's going to be doing the painting, he's actually sketching. And so I think she says, draw me like one of your French girls. So we've actually modified the statement a wee bit. And then he does what would be considered a realism picture of her. A gorgeous nude. Which, don't get me wrong, it's always fun having a model sit. But I haven't done that since university. I usually sit in front of landscapes or use pictures. Pictures are really fun too. You can get a lot of love and emotion and meaning out of a photograph. It's, they're really powerful. Remember, the right photograph, but from a photograph. Sometimes though, the issue you can get with a photograph is it can't print the colours that you want to express. So, what happens there? Sometimes it's best to get the photograph done in black and white and just have an instinctual notion of what colours you need. And that just comes from staring at the picture, hearing more about it, maybe even going there in person and understanding the colour palette of the location. If you can understand the colour palette of a location, now you can paint from a black and white photograph and really bring it to life. The autumn colours, whether it's autumn or not, these beautiful red colours that come into this valley, the deep, luscious greens. There's lots of fun things in here, guys. Wow, that painting, it's got more to go. More to go. We're just going to keep adding on. Now we're into the, love this colour. Dioxine purple, guys. Dioxine purple. It's a real poppy colour. But again, it's dark. So what's it doing? It's assisting those blacks, turning their definition into expression, which I really like. There we go. Beautiful. A little bit there. On these hills. I think we'll sneak into a bit more black too, though. We're not finished with the blacks. So you can keep me under the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close. Mm-hmm. Here we go. A bit more of this. Where else are we going to go? Sneaking down in here. Give me some longer strokes. Let me really see those pines sneaking in there. I might even get a bit naughty and dive into the blacks. Just in a few of these little pockets. The definition of the blacks is just so alluring. Able to get in there and really show what something is. There we go. Then I think I'm going to combine that black with just a little bit of Naples yellow. Yeah, go for gold. Watch the Titanic again. It is a great, great movie. James Cameron, what a director. What a director. Let me add a bit more in here. Beautiful. A bit more of this edge. Beautiful. Right the way around. It's quite a muted tone actually. And that's fair enough. Actually, I've painted with a cotton bud before. That was wild. It works really well, but it unravels itself quite fast. I've never actually painted with a hair tie. That would be something new entirely. I think you'd still get a lot of paint on your hands. I don't think that would be avoidable. The cotton bud you can hold to one end, though the issue comes in after you've used both ends of it. Now, when you hold one end, the other end gets on your fingers, which is a bit annoying. So, you do keep coming back to a paintbrush though in the way you hold it, because you can get the distance away from the paint, and that allows you to just apply it. I think the most important thing is that with the smaller tools like the cotton bud or even a hairbrush, you need to be right up there beside the artwork, which means your hand gets in the way. But if you have a regular brush, you can see how I can work there and have about 20 centimeters before my actual hand starts obscuring the painting from being able to be seen. I have a painting that I've done recently that looks really similar. Is it of Pennsylvania, Rachel? Or is it a landscape? I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I was at the TikTok Awards and a really nice guy came up to me and he wanted to talk about his art, and I asked him to show me some pictures of it, and it was just great. Just great. So inspired. Big pieces. He was swapping mediums, and most importantly, he was enjoying making it. It's always a tough one, guys, when I talk to someone and they say, oh, can we talk about art? Can you help me with art? Can you and I ask them, so I always ask this question, do you like it? Does it make you happy? And if they're like, no, it doesn't, I'm like, then what? Why would you want to do more of something that doesn't make you happy? I want to be an artist. It's okay. It's okay. I agree with that. I love that dream. But let's find the medium in which you can be an artist. Because if this one doesn't make you happy, we either need to change the way you're using it or change what you're using. It's that simple. It's that simple. Like, there's a saying. I don't know whether I came up with it or someone much smarter said it, but someone said it. Everyone's an artist. Everyone is an artist. But you just need to find your medium. See, with dance, I'm a goofball, but I'm not an artist. With singing, I'm obnoxious, but I'm not an artist. With paint, now Seb's an artist. With you, you may not be an artist with paint, or like me, with singing or dancing. But when you put clay into your hands, or poetry, a pen and paper into your hands, like Ernest Hemingway, now you're an artist. Put an Excel document in front of you, now you're an artist. We're all artists, and we're looking for the medium in which we want to create art. Because we all have a way in which to express ourselves. I really mean that. The worst thing you could ever do to yourself is believe you weren't an artist. You just haven't found your medium yet. It's out there, it's waiting for you. And when you find it, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel really good. It won't be something that drains you. It'll be something that rejuvenates you, makes you more happier, vitalized. The challenge is when you have to find time away from your family to do something that tires you, and then you don't bring the best version of yourself to your family. But if you have something that vitalizes you, what happens when you do it? You become more. And so when you leave that thing that you love, that thing that you make art out of, when you leave it, you can give the best part of yourself to your loved ones and to your friends. And that's a worthwhile venture. That's worthwhile doing. Beautiful. Just a bit more through here. Absolutely gorgeous. Thanks, Hilda. I appreciate that. Shoes check. No shoes on today. We're not on rough ground and it's hot outside, so we've rolled up the pants a little bit and we've gone barefoot. But if I was out on the stones, you can bet your boots I'd need myself a pair of shoes. Grass as well. The grass, it's kind of more fun barefoot. It runs through your feet really nice and it feels good. And then you've got the beach, sand in between your toes. Hard to verse that. That also feels good. A bit around there. I'll stand back from it again. Now I just made a very embarrassing mistake. I just dipped my paintbrush in my coffee, so that's now been ruined. Not the paintbrush, the coffee. But, here we go. It's a great question, Alex. We all have questions that we want to ask. What's the secret to the universe? Where will we be in 5 years? What's your dream job? And who, if you had the choice, would you fall in love with? But your question is, how tall is the man in those pixels on my 11-inch phone? And to that, no wait, no, an iPad's 11 inches, a phone's like 6, I forget. To that, I'll say I can be any height you want me to be, as long as I've got the right pair of high heels on. There we go. Beautiful. Just a few of these subtle little touches of this beautiful colour coming up in here. Just like that. It's going to get a few more just over this part. Yeah, now we're talking to it. Absolutely stunning, just through this valley, those little smaller touch points. And hello, little bear. How you doing? We've entered early December. What a time to be alive. I know that a few of you regulars will be shocked to see that we're still working on the Keystone State. But guys, this is a special one to me, and I want to make sure we get it right. And so we've gone, if you had a budget on time when you make art, we've gone over it. But I say this, every piece of artwork's on its own little journey, and it's not leaving my hands until I get it to exactly where I want it. And one of the things I noticed about this picture is there's so much colours and textures in this photo. It doesn't do it justice just to do a few layers and say, done. That's not Pennsylvania. There's so much more happening here. I showed this earlier. This is the picture. So from a distance, there's actually very little happening. You can see a mountain and a valley, and that's about it. But when I come closer, Pennsylvania's worth it. I love that. Come closer to here. Okay, now we see texture. Fantastic. And a few darker patches get more complexity in them. But let me come up even more. You see how there's not just this continuity? It's not like a field or a plantation of pine trees that have the exact shape of every single one of them just waiting to be drawn like this. There's actually difference, uniqueness to every tree, every lump, every bump. So it's our responsibility to actually capture that. If we didn't do that, this wouldn't be Pennsylvania. It'd be a plantation of pines. So we're going the long way around it, and it's gonna pay off. Let's put this back up here. And maybe after it, we'll paint a plantation of pine trees and just do an endless amount of vertical strokes and call it a day, just for the fun of it. Alex, to quell your curiosity, it was very funny actually. I spent like about 20 years of my life thinking I was 6 foot. I don't know where I got that measurement from. I just assumed I was. And then we had these measuring sticks out. And my friend's always been taller than I am. And he measured at 6 foot. And I thought, red flag. So when I got measured, I was like 5'11". So I don't know where I got 6 foot from, but anyone I said 6 foot to between the ages of early 20s to late 20s, I straight up lied to you. It's definitely under 6. It does not start with a 6. It's a 5'11". But then the deception might have come in that I was wearing shoes when I measured myself one day, because if I'm 5'11", if you put on shoes, that's that extra inch. If you bump up by that extra inch, so I might be 6 foot with shoes on, but it's much funnier to say 6 foot in high heels, right? And plus that's more inclusive, because anyone else who's sitting on, 5'6", 5'10", whatever, and maybe they're insecure about it. I don't know why you would be, who cares? But everyone can use that same line. That's a wholesome place to be. Like, I don't know where the narrative came from that you shouldn't be excited about your height. Like, yeah, it's great, and like it's really cool to be 6 or 7 foot. Congratulations, and that's really cool to be. But like, at the end of the day, about 5 foot. I mean, obviously, starting with 4 foot, there's some inconveniences you will face, like getting into taller trucks and whatnot. Not that you can't, it just gets a bit more annoying. But anything that starts with a 5, guys, it's perfect. In fact, the closer you are to 5 instead of 6, the easier you'll be able to travel, the easier you'll go around the world. It was funny, actually, me and Shelby were on a plane flight to Australia a few weeks back, and we got the seats with the extended leg room. Not that either of us needed it, but we had those seats. And Shelby, for stretching out her legs, couldn't touch the seat in front of us. And if you were a basketball player, I mean, good for you, you're tall, but you're never going to be comfortable in an economy seat on a plane. And that strikes me as not a great thing, because as the world gets more connected, we're going to spend more time on trains and planes. So, honestly, I think it's a pretty big perk to not be super short or not be super tall, but run the middle of that bell curve the whole way through it. If you can run the middle of the bell curve, thumbs up. That's a good place to be. But if I could change anything about myself, and I know this is rich after just saying love who you are, I'd add an extra 2 inches onto the bottom of my feet. So my feet, my legs were just a little bit longer. And the reason that's the case is because it's annoying when I go to all the clothes stores, and they always do pants for some reason at 34 inches. My legs are about 32 inches, and so I need to get them hemmed every time or let the backs wear out, which looks just not great. So I don't even need to be taller. Just move hips up my body 2 inches and I'll have a bit less torso, and we'll all be beer and Skittles. That way, I don't need to get pants hemmed when I buy them. But apart from that, then again, some stores actually offer the 32-inch legs, but a lot of them don't. I had there was one brand that was really funny. They called it the stocky build on the actual jeans. And I thought, that's quite funny. It's very clear and obvious. Thank you, appreciate that. And they were like, I'm glad you like it. Some people get upset. And I'm like, upset? You finally have a pair of pants that fit me. I'm just happy. It's funny how you can look at the same bit of information and actually have 2 very different reactions. Let's get a bit more yellow in that. Little bits of detail. Little bits of detail. What time is it? Does anyone know? In Pennsylvania right now. Is it, oh, that's, no, that's not paint water, that's electrolytes. So it's blue, but it's not blue because we're using blue paint. I can totally understand where you're coming from, but no, it's blue electrolytes. But if this was a work environment with multiple staff, that would be a hazard that you pointed out, and we should definitely talk about that in the weekly meeting and make sure we don't have coloured beverages around where the paint water would be. Totally agree. Definitely do. We've got 1 employee here, so I'll make sure I keep my awareness on that. 7:44 p.m. .44 p.m. Fantastic. You know, the sun here in New Zealand is setting just after 8 p.m. After 8 p.m. What is that about? After 8 p.m. Look, I love that. I love that to bits, but after 8 p.m. I went out yesterday painting, and I was out there from like going on 8 to about 9, still with sunlight. Able to add paint to a canvas at 9 p.m. What is that about? In Cape Town, South Africa, it's 2:44. Okay, help me out here though. When you say 2:44, I need an AM or a PM. You gotta do that for me. If it's, you either use 24-hour time or you can be a little AM PM symbol, and I'll know what you're doing. There we go. Gorgeous. Let me stand back here a little bit and have another little look-see. Yeah. Dibs and dabs. Okay, I'm going to add a bit. We're on kind of a raw clay tone at the moment, which needs to go into here. But I'm going to add a bit of white into it. Is it laggy for everyone or just for me? I hope it's not laggy for everyone, because that'll also affect the people in the future who plan to watch it. Are you okay with giving you the title TikTok Crush? Well, that sounds PG and very healthy. Of course you can. And again, you're a free acting individual. You can do whatever you like. And as long as you're having fun, and other people are having fun, what could I possibly have to say about that? Only positive things. That's my 2 cents. I keep this love in a photograph. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closely at a dome. Yeah. Sorry, Albert. Sorry your Wi-Fi's playing up on you. I hate that. You know, we live out in a quite a country-like area where I'm streaming to you right now from New Zealand, and so we're on Starlink, which means sometimes the signal can be a bit more sporadic, but anyway. At the same time, there are lots of devices using this Wi-Fi, so it can be a mixed bag. Why don't you name the paintings? We do name the paintings. We definitely do. You know that, Kloip. You know for a fact we name these paintings, but this one has had a name change. It's had a name change. So it was sitting on the Keystone State, but upon talking with Jeffrey, the owner of this painting, more, Jeffrey wants to go for a more personal name, which I 100% agree with. So I won't tell you exactly today, but we are changing it to be actually a specific area of Pennsylvania, which I'm a massive fan of as a change. So it'll still be a Pennsylvania landscape, but it'll have a specialized name for that one area, which I'm a massive fan of. I'm sorry, what? This is a Pennsylvania landscape, so this is the Keystone State. The Keystone State. Gently add paint to it. One little bit at a time. I was saying before that one of the key things now, we did a lot of excited, big, powerful strokes. Now it's slowly our job to build up little bits upon little bits and let the painting emerge through these little pockets of detail. Hopefully, we really get that essence of Pennsylvania. The colourful, what's the word I'm looking for here? The one of, there's, in the image, it shows, like with Maine, for example, as a state, it goes straight from full green, beautiful, lush green everywhere to full autumn everywhere, warm colours or green colours, and then it goes full snow. But with Pennsylvania, really interesting, it had those cold colours of the Smoky Mountains, but the warm colours of autumn, like of full autumn style of Maine, but also the lush greens, but also those muted sort of coral-ish tones in the valleys without the trees. And I thought, if there's one thing to be captured in Pennsylvania, it's the relationship and gathering
of all these different things in one space. It's not just one thing in abundance, it's all the things together all at once. And there's a beautiful harmony in that. They're not fighting, they're dancing together and sitting beside each other. I thought, I said, that's why this one's taking additional time, in that we need to really show them embodying, dancing, being beside each other, and just making up the overall image. That's so important to making this whole thing actually come together. There we go. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close. Dees. There we go. Pardon me. There we are. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. That's going to sneak out that way. Yeah, there we go. Nice. It's a temptation to really overload this painting, but actually it's going to be a culmination of smaller, more subtle moments, just like this. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans. There we go. Bit more of that just through there like that. There we go. Gorgeous. Sneak this. And this. So do do. Hey Chai Maya, welcome on in, and go on, spill the tea. Great name. Go on, spill the tea. I don't really have any good tea right now. Is that shameful? Gossip. My daughter's just started sitting up. That's very exciting. I suppose one sassy thing she did today was Shelby was trying to put her to bed for a daily nap. She wasn't going down, she wasn't having a bar of it. She was crying, she was upset about it, and I think I'm following. And I walk in, I'm like, oh, look at you, little duddums. And I picked her up, and she gives me this biggest smile, and then looks at Mummy, and like head down, massive smile as well, being like, ha ha ha, got away with it. I don't need to have a nap. Daddy's got me. It's very funny. Thinking you got away without having a nap, and she did, because she was being so cute. There we go. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close. Inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close. Yeah, they are doing a little sheet metal. Yeah, they are doing a little sheet metal. Sorry, we lost the Wi-Fi briefly. You're right, Hickey, we did lose connection. That's on me. I apologise. And I hope you have a great day, bud.
Thanks, Bad Boy Pete. Hey, I recognise that name. Welcome back in. Yes, correct, Starlink playing up. But anyway, we're back online. It gives me a little dot there that goes from green to orange to red. And we were on red for a long time. I thought it would kick the stream. But anyway, it let us come back, which I think is very nice of them. Anyway, we've got a bit more paint to add here. I think this is the right tone to be adding as well. We've got a lot of this colour here, deep and dark, but actually inside this area, there's highlights on the opposite sides of the tree. So let's make sure we bring that up. Look, to get the actual image to show up, for those who were here for it, we did that in the first hour or two. But we don't just want the hill and the valley. We need all the little moments, the shadows, the shapes, the trees to actually bring Pennsylvania to life. And so the character of this work comes from all the little subtle inclusions as we go along. So the actual image showing up, less than 90 minutes. But to bring it into fruition, to make it into something special, that's going to be where my guess is 10 to 20 hours are going to go. We're just going to keep adding little spots on. But like, again, guys, it's hard to say because painting's not a linear process. You don't just start somewhere and head towards a finish line. If it was like that, it'd be far more simple. It's actually more like this. Some days you work on it, you send it backwards. And some days you work on it and it goes forward at 10 times the rate that you wonder why you can't do that every day. That's the nature of creativity. What's that song? When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. But it doesn't mean that you can't make art. It means that the art that you work on could just actually, by pure chance inherently, be worse after you worked on it that day. Does that mean you don't work on it? No, absolutely not. It means you keep going at it. And trust me, you'll have one of those days where you start being a shining star again. And you'll have those days where every single stroke's a battle, but they are heading in the right direction. Every day is going to be just a little bit different. And that's what, honestly, that's what makes art fun. So I give you predictions like, oh, this will take 12 hours, this will take 15 hours. And even as the artist, I don't know that. That's like a rugby player or a soccer player before the game started saying, I'm definitely going to win. You'd be like, well, there's lots of factors. But just because they don't win doesn't mean they quit the sport, right? That would be silly. Ooh, what's the longest time it's taken? That's an interesting question, Londoner, because there is this school of thought, philosophy, idea, concept, that the longer a painting takes you, hypothetically, the better or more valuable it would be. This isn't true, guys. This isn't true. Some of the most beautiful paintings I've ever made came together in a period of less than an hour or a few hours. But every painting's different. And the painting that took me the longest took about 40 to 50 hours. I think it was 50 hours. And I spent ages on it, tinkering, exploring and making it. But the longer I spent on it, the more I strangled my process to try and force a painting out of it. And the result that came from that was the painting still not finished. And it wouldn't be considered one of my best paintings. So time is not the most relevant thing. But I think there's a saying about life with that as well. It says life is not about how many breaths you take, but how many moments take your breath away. And you can liken that to painting, because you can say a painting is not about how many strokes you take, but how many strokes take your breath away. And that suddenly becomes very relevant, because who cares if there's 50 million strokes of paint on your wall? If one stroke speaks to your heart, now it's more relevant. And so, and you could do that same example and play with ideas like love, relationships, friendships. It doesn't matter
how much someone's got. What matters is you love them. It doesn't matter that someone else might be richer or funnier. That's your best friend. Like, that's a really, really important distinction to understand. There we go. Now we're working with a bit of lime green mixed into that same soil-like clay colour. And we're going to let it just spread itself gently through these valleys, ever so gently. Take this love in a photograph. There we go. All the way out to the edge. I'm going to sneak up there. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans. I think the energy and enjoyment conveys through the painting. Thanks, Jazz. That's part of the idea, and especially with this, these smaller, more quiet, simple strokes to build up the smaller details in the work. The attitude you bring forward, so relevant, so relevant. But at the start, though, big energy, explosion, go nuts. And now we tinker, and now we play, and now we alter, and now we let the painting really build up those smaller pockets and bits of character. That's important. That's important. Let's get a bit through there. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close so I can hold me. Might, we're not far off me probably grabbing a new paint palette. How do we feel, guys? This one here's got a little bit hard, but we've had some fun. There's been our current spread of colours. Let me grab a new plate. I will wash this one off, but we won't muck around on that now. That one can go down there. I'm going to come right back. You hold on. Let's put this down here. Oh my God. I just saw this one on the angle, and I'm in love with it. It's, yeah. All those little colours that we've added in as little highlights, they're actually sitting on a mat, so actually they don't pop off too much. But the other colours in the darkness have that gloss on them, so there's this great relationship between the two. We're making good ground. This part here needs some more love. It needs some more fun. But what will we use to do that? So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close so I can hold me. And I won't ever be alone. Da dun dun da dun 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 da 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 do da da do.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Whew. I thought, yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. It's a little blend of electrolytes, guys. So I wouldn't dare. No, that. Please let me preempt this by saying, do not drink paint water. This here is a lovely little blend of electrolytes, but my coffee's down on the ground at the moment, and the reason it's down there is I actually dipped my paintbrush in it, thinking it was my paint water cup, and ruined the coffee. So we don't have coffee anymore. It's been ruined. We just have that, so as nice as it is. But yes, I think someone there must be Powerade. Yes, indeed. Powerade. Power. What a strong name for a brand. What do you want to call it? Power. Name it something strong. So you can keep me. Let's get this through here. There we go. Little pockets of it. There we go. That's more like it. Just like that. Little pockets of it. Little pockets. This stuff here is a little bit of magenta mixed in with just a teeny tiny bit of red. And the goal with this is to capture some of those highlights in the autumn colours. I'm going to see where we go with it. There we go. Just like that. Gorgeous. It's not full magenta, but it's not full red either. Combining in just a little bit of the gloss gel into the acrylic gouache. The reason why I want that gloss gel in there is I want it to flow, but I actually want that buttery fun texture that acrylic gouache can bring to the table. If we add too much gloss in there, we'll lose it. I don't want to lose it. I want to keep both. I'm greedy. I want both. There we go. I keep this love in a photograph. That song's still proper stuck in my head. Haven't been able to shake it, not once. You get the feeling that I should just listen to it. Purge myself of it by listening to it. An audiobook story. There wouldn't be a whole lot of substance. It would just be a whole lot of, yes, that's a good colour. Oh, yes, we should put that colour over there. Have you ever mixed blue with yellow? Oh, green's great. It'd be the kind of thing like counting sheep. I think that's what you fall asleep to, right? Counting sheep. Like counting sheep, but painting style. That's what it would be. Here we go. Let's get a bit more of this over the top there. Beautiful. Just a bit of red dancing through this landscape in little pockets. Teeny tiny little pockets. There's a little bit down here as well. Let's just get
Yeah, now we're talking to it. I see this love in the photograph. I see this thing for ourselves. There we go. There we go. Gorgeous. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Have I ever done a Titanic painting? It's a great question. No. No, I have not. But I think the best Titanic painting, the first thing that pops to mind is a picture of Jack, actually. Because Rose asks Jack to paint me like one of your French girls. She says, draw me like one of your French girls. So there's a moment where Jack looks up and looks at her, then back at his pad. And when he looks up, kind of bewildered and Rose is in front of him naked. And he looks up at her, and that moment where he looks up before he looks back down, that would be a fun painting. You know, because it's the moment you don't think of because he's the creator. You don't think that actually at that moment, perhaps he could be the art. I think that's quite cool. I think that's, and plus Jack's kind of the purpose of the movie because it's Rose at the age of 86 or whatever age, 100, 96, I forget, thinking about Jack. And so painting Jack would be the most appropriate move in my mind. Would be my take. There we go. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me close. Got some bad news as well, guys. We've had some fun here. We've hung out in this space. We're sitting on 7,000 light. Yeah, 86. So it's been 86 years. So how old was she when she met Jack? She must be 106, right? Was she 20? Was she 20 on the boat? Anyway, the bad news is the iPad that I'm streaming off is now sitting on a delightfully low 10%. So it's going to give me a 5% warning. And then after that, we'll pack up and we'll come back to this piece as the sun settles down a little bit. If you guys are okay with that. It'll just run its course and go flat. But we will be back before sunset, so. And I haven't decided whether we'll give this one a bit of a cool-off period just to relax it, or if we'll come on back and play with some of the paints that we've been using on a surface. So let me mull over that one for the rest of the day until we come back this evening and throw around a bit more paint. See how we feel. Could go either way. There we go. Put more down there. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans. There we go. Do 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 da da dee da dee da do la da 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 do. But we have got 5% before that comes in. How are you choosing your colors? Okay, we're choosing colors by, well, I've spent a lot of time, a disproportionate amount of time looking at this image on the computer and examining it, to understand the colours of Pennsylvania. And then, because a printer couldn't quite capture all the colours that I wanted, after I've studied the image, I want to work off a black and white image and then create the colours. Pseudo from memory, pseudo allow them to go in all directions while keeping the form of the tones. But typically for this painting, we're going to use and be inspired by the primary colours, the reds, the yellows and the blues, but then continue to come back to that lush, thick green, which is going to allow the whole painting to really come into its own. The green anchors the painting, the green and the blue do, but then that yellow and that red adds that vibrant zing, that warmth, that life. If we just stayed on the green and blue, we'd get to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. It wouldn't be the vibrancy of Pennsylvania. To get that, we just do need endless little pockets, a million different colours. There we go. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans. There we go. This is that same purple. Just wants to sit beside those blacks. The blacks are so strong, but actually, to relax them, we need colours that actually match them to sit beside them, just like this. Just gently caress beside the black ones. You get the deep blacks in here, ultramarine blues right beside them, royal purples beside that, and in this case, that magenta and dioxide purple beside it again, just lifting it gently. That's what we're after. Let's get a bit more through here. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Little pocket after little pocket. Beautiful colour pounding off the surface of this painting. Absolutely enthralling. This wants to be the kind of painting, and it must be to be successful, that when you look at it up close, you just keep getting lost in more little pockets of colour, more little snippets and moments. If when this painting, if you look at it and immediately feel like you've seized it all, or no matter how many times you look at it, if you can remember every stroke, it's failed. It must continue to surprise, just like Pennsylvania, the state, wants to. Every time you look at this, you want to notice something new and forget something you'd previously seen just because of the level of little moments that are occurring. And that makes the painting continually novel. It's continually surprising you and showing you a new Easter egg or moment that previously you'd missed. And I think that's the knack of a good painting, because so many images come in and out of our lives every day. We see something, we move on. We see something new, we move on. Blah, 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 blah. But actually, if there's an image that can constantly give the kind of thing you'd put in your wallet, but in this case on your wall, that's where the real value of complex but still intricate and confused and wild art sits. It's got to always give you something new. At a certain point with a photograph, you've studied it enough that actually it still connects to those memories, but we're looking for that new novelty that you can get every single time. That little, I call it the eighth of a cup of coffee that you can get from a piece of artwork. So it's an eighth of a cup, because every time you look at the artwork, it gives you a little bit of a pick-me-up, just a little bit. And if it can do that every day, the value of the art would be the culmination of all those small little pick-me-ups over the course of 20 years. And when you ask for the value of art, that's the value. One euphoric moment, you can get that from a Westlife song, You Raise Me Up. You can get that from that, what's that one? Took for granted everything we had, as if I'd find somebody who was just like you. Little world of our own. These kind of songs, They give that euphoric single moment that can mean so much. But a painting can give a single good small feeling over and over and over again. And that's the intrinsic value of art. It's not better than song, but it's a different medium in which we can express feeling, and a different way, a passive gain rather than a sudden gain that you can bring to your life every day. You can't play music in the office all the time. But you can hang art. You can't always have the same song playing in your house, but you can have something meaningful in terms of a work of art. And for you, for your taste, for what you're after, that's actually a really fun decision, because that's entirely for you to decide what you want to put inside your own home. For me, there's some pictures that I love, and so I get them in print form because I have to sell the original. But sometimes I like the ones that are confusing, the ones that can't be understood by a single viewing, that you kind of need more time to sit with. And sometimes that's not just for anyone viewing it, that's for me as well. Sometimes I see it and I don't fully appreciate or understand it. And then after it gets left for a while, I just fall in love with it and want more of it. And those are the ones that are really, really special to me. So sometimes to see those pieces, especially out and about in the world, it takes multiple visits to a gallery. And I know we don't have all the time for that. Sometimes we only have time to visit a gallery the one time. But because you're a human and your taste changes, evolves, and how you feel on different days will alter, the biggest thing that can happen is if you visit, I don't know if you have time for this, but if you visit an art gallery twice, your favorite work the first time may be different from your favorite work the second time. Usually the one you like the first time is the one that for you had the highest wow factor. It really caught your eye in amongst a sea of new novelty. And in a second visit, now that you've seen all the things, you're looking for the one that has the biggest Easter egg. So you've seen everything, you're familiar with it, you've gone back 24 hours later, and what are we spotting? I didn't notice it, that one had, that's my new favorite. And this can alter again and again on subsequent visits, but the question is who has time for that? And so the reason why those ones are typically my favorite pieces is because when I do leave artwork around my house or in the studio and I walk past it over and over again, you'll go from it being a normal piece to suddenly I'm in love with that piece. And that's a healthy progression. It's okay. It's how some relationships form, and that's also okay. There we go. Whew. All right, for everyone else who hasn't been here since the start, this picture we're painting here is Pennsylvania. It's a huge, colourful state. And we're adding little bits of paint slowly in small little pockets to build up the last few little bits of texture to really make the work jump off the surface. There we go. There we go. Beautiful, powerful colour too. When you work with these more opaque colour sets, they do just have this intensity to them. It's undeniable strength. You be careful with that. That kind of undeniable strength in the colour almost replicates the intensity and power of black. And Ryan, hello, welcome on in. Good to have you here. Anyone else who's a regular, who's been hiding away there in the background and not leaping into the foreground, I totally understand, you're okay. But also, welcome in. There we go. Keep this lover in a photograph.
eyes will never falter. Do, 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 do. So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans. Holding me close so I can hold me. And I won't never be alone. Whoa, and you can hold me. Da 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 da. There we go. Is this the Australian guy? I'm not Aussie, but I've been to Aussie a few weeks ago. It's a really cool country. It's 5 stars. But you know what? Aussie and New Zealand are so similar. We're so close to each other. I think New Zealanders like to, maybe we like to think we're a bit better, I don't know. Maybe that's small island syndrome, if that's a thing. But honestly, I believe that as far as the West of the world's concerned, we're the same. We sound super similar, and I reckon we should enter the international stage as a united front. Paint a tuxedo cat. Well, you know what? This work's kind of abstract. It's wild, blotchy and colourful. And I think if you look long enough at it, I think you'll see your tuxedo cat. And I'm so happy for you if you do. When you do though, be a darling and tell us where you saw it so we can all also share the pleasure of tuxedo cat. And have you ever been to the Hobbit houses in New Zealand? I have. I wasn't ever planning on going, but you know, it's really funny because someone dragged me along one time and now I'm biggest fan of that place. It's called Hobbiton, and it's actually incredible, guys. Like, if you're a New Zealander or a tourist, it's definitely worth a visit. It's not just some knockoff, hey, come visit, we're cashing on Lord of the Rings kind of thing. It almost is its own standalone, beautiful thing to go and watch and be a part of. A real pleasure walking around it. They give you a little beer at the end. It's a really lovely trip, guys. Yeah, 5 stars. It's because I've known Matamata, which is a place in New Zealand, since I was a kid, and I never really thought that anything novel happened there. And more fool me, because actually, this is one of the greatest things, if not, I don't want to say the greatest thing, because New Zealand's known for our abundant nature, but one of the greatest things that you can. There's our warning, guys. All right, we've just hit our mark. We're on 5% battery remaining. So I'm going to get these plates, get them cleaned up, and we'll come on back once that sun dies down a little bit. But for everyone else, thank you so much for joining in. You Packer Legends, we've taken this to a pretty fun spot. I think we've done pretty well. And I think we'll just, look, let me sit with that for a while and see how I feel. But I'm going to add a bit of white into all the colours, probably white into a bunch of blue and green, and just keep bringing out smaller pockets. I think we're in the right place. Anyway, guys, love from the New Zealand studio. Wishing you all the best. And Ryan, Jay Smith, Nina, if you're still here, everyone else, look after yourselves. See you guys.